All right. Good evening. Who do we got? Who do we got? Big Quid Energy. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Mel, hi. Been a while, ain't it? Blame Tag, you're off tonight. Fantastic. Mad Dog, coming off of a very loud heavy metal concert. You know, Mad Dog, I never took you for a metal person, but I think it's grown on you. Hello, Hero with Hinlow. Sure that you mistyped that. Maybe I don't know. Big news here in the retail war zone household. We have a new family member. His name is Poe. Uh, Full name Poseidon. We kind of had a thing where we were good with three cats, but Hero always wanted a plain white cat, and somebody she knew came across a litter of kittens, and one was fully white, and so Poe is now with us, and he is a ball of fire, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, toddler time is crazy. We have these little houses with balls that hang down, and this little fucker will grab the ball in his mouth and drag the entire house around with him. It is the craziest shit, but he's an absolute pleasure to watch. Um, well, yeah, Poseidon. We already have one. Our black cat is Zeus. So you got yin and yang. So you got Zeus and Poseidon. So all credit to Hero for that. I'm not smart enough to come up with that shit, but that's why she's the boss and I am not. So Irish Connection is here with me. Say hello, sir.
Good evening, everybody.
Can everybody hear him okay? Give me a thumbs up, something. Hello? Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Oh, by the way, rest in peace, Pee Wee Herman. That was a terrible tragedy. Um, but I give him props for, fighting cancer for 6 years and not telling everybody. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the note that he had left, apologizing to his fans for never going public. But I know myself, I enjoyed Pee Wee's Playhouse in the movies. I thought it was fucking fantastic. An absolute icon. What's up, Dom? Um, let's see. And Mad Dog says there's a whole nother side of my personality that I don't show much in the work world. Well, if you start wearing spikes and chains and shit, maybe things will get done around that joint, right? Go in, horns up, see what happens. So, having said that, it's been a minute. Again, we're in August. Things are going to start cranking up here. We're going to start getting into some stuff. I do want to say that, we've settled on a date. August 23rd is going to be the spouse episode. We will have Mrs. Blame Tag here, Mrs. Irish Connection, and Mrs. Retail Warzone Hero herself. It's unabashed. If Irish, if you haven't told your significant other or Blame Tag, they're free to say whatever they want, and we're going to sit there and take it. All right. So I just want to put that out there. So we're going to take the abuse and or the truth, and we're going to deal with it. It's kind of like counseling. And I do believe that it will be one of the most profound episodes we've ever done because we've talked about this for almost 2 years now and it's actually happening. And it's going to be really nice to hear from the people that we're attached to what they had to go through while we were doing all this mess. So, Irish, I kind of want to throw it over to you there. What are your thoughts on what's going to come out of that?
Ooh, I'm
Ooh,
I'm not going to come out of it looking very well. I don't think.
neither am I.
Um, it's like it's going to be cathartic, because a lot of the stuff that we talk about here that frustrates me, obviously has an impact at home, by proxy, like. So I imagine that it will be probably a release valve for for my wife to kind of get some things off her chest of I mean, to some degree what she observed in me, and the stress levels I had, the kind of mood changes I had, but also how it impacted her, and that's very important as well, like, um so I mean, I it could be heavy enough, but and hopefully a bit funny too, but I imagine the big thing is I expect it to be that it'll be very similar the experience that my wife had will be the same as Hero and Mrs. Blame Tag. I would I imagine there'll be a lot of crossover there that essentially they could, the stresses that retail brings on you will be uniform internationally.
Yeah, and just sneak peek. I know Hero and I were talking about it, and the one thing she said was, "I'm more present," and that makes sense. You know, there's times I'll go sit out on the couch and just kind of hang with everybody or whatnot. Or there's been times we've played games and stuff, and that shit wasn't going on when it was. My day was shit. Leave me the fuck alone. Is what it was. I mean, just an absolute bear to be around. And I'm okay with whatever Hero has to say, and I hope you guys are too, because I think it needs to be heard. I mean, it's this episode should be like a buyer beware kind of thing for people who, maybe their spouse is in a different field and they're like, hey, I think I'm going to retail management. Let them know, because it's not easy. We know this, and it's not as much about being management like a store manager. It's any position of responsibility, whether you're a department manager or you're if you're a department manager and you're the person in charge of that, and you're getting text messages asking about, did you get this completed and whatnot. It's the same thing. It's any kind of supervisory kind of position that people need to understand how what the toll it is on not only yourself but your family around you. And it's like she said, she knew that I was doing the things I was doing for them, but it doesn't make it okay. You know, Elle's Life says, my wife called work my alone time. Wow. Um, eh, uh, I don't know what to say there. And Blame Take says, I have no responsibility. Yes, you do. Stop it. You do. They try to tell you that you don't, but by God, they treat you like you do, right?
Try
So,
not showing up.
yeah, try not showing up and see what happens. Call in sick. Play hooky one day. And even then, if you're in a position where you don't have responsibility technically, but maybe you're over something or you're a key ingredient to the business, and you need to take time off. I mean, Blame Tag, I think you can agree. I bet there's been times you've taken vacation and shit, and you went back, and you're like, fuck. Like the wheels came completely off the wagon while you were gone, and you were the guy that was tasked to put it back together, right? And Hero says he is responsible for giving satires to the masses. That's true. That's true. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, Hero and I have had these discussions for quite a while since I, got out and whatnot. Look, I understand I was not a pleasant person. I'm still not a pleasant person sometimes because, it's PTSD and you kind of fall into ruts. And I'm one of these kind of people. We had a discussion one night and I was like saying, my personality, like my home life, I'm a very peak and valley kind of person. It's like, when I'm really good, I'm good, and then I kind of like slope off, and it's like, oh, leave me alone, and then I back up. And that's a direct result of all that. And do any of you guys kind of feel that way? I mean, that you, I know some of you are still in it, like. You feel like your day to day is peak and valley. Like there's a moment that you realize that you're cool and you're fun and whatnot, and then even though you're not hurting anybody, you're just kind of keeping to yourself. You realize you're kind of like in a valley. Irish.
Yeah, I mean, I go through almost the entire range of emotions on a daily basis. Like, I mean, I feel like certain parts of the day, I feel like just walking out and throwing up keys up in the air, and some other parts of the same day, I'm really enjoying the fact that I have a good team surrounding me or whatever the case. It is strange. Now I don't know. Maybe all jobs are like that to an extent, but it's just I suppose the extremes that it can go to in retail is insane. Like. Uh, like for me, like I was kind of losing faith in retail for a while, and the pandemic just absolutely made my mind up. But like say before in the episode that'll be coming up on the 23rd, I expect my wife will confirm that, I was in a mild state of panic nearly all the time.
Yes,
So even at home on a day off or after I finish work or whatever else, I was
there was
jumpy.
no day
You know,
off.
no, because like your phone might go off or you get a notification and it's 9 times out of fucking 10 it's work, and for some reason I was very reactive to it, even though some of it was very small. It could be like, did something like an email that could be sent in theory the following morning. I would have to action it immediately. I hope that she has seen some change there, but I have tried to consciously, stop that. Like I have several apps for work on my phone, like cameras and sales data and stuff. I deleted all of them just to have that break,
Right.
because I was constantly stuck to it like a fucking news feed, like as if I could do anything about it anyway, but hopefully she's seen some change there. But yeah, I go through the range of emotions on a daily basis, still do. It's just maybe, hopefully, not as extreme.
Well, the sad part is, and I don't think I'm a special case, okay? But I think to all of you, if you get out of it, if you're in management, you're going to experience it for years to come. I don't know when it's ever going to stop. I really don't. There's some days that I'm on cloud nine and I feel great, and we'll joke around with people. And there's some days like it could be literally be the next day. I just want to work and go home and everybody leave me alone. And I don't really have an answer for it. I mean, Hero was like, well, that's what they call depression. Maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, I'm not, into all that. I don't know how all that shit works. Maybe it is depression. I don't know. But, it's weird. And, something I just saw in the chat, Mel said, my husband works 6 doubles a week. He stays cranky. You damn right he stays cranky, and that's terrible. And you know what? I, Hero can tell you, like a lot of different, like when I was at Hobby Lobby, I'll say it. I don't care if Jesus is going to sue me. You can't. If I ain't got to give it to you, sue me. I don't care. But anyway, Hobby Lobby is where I logged in the most hours in one work week, and that was 94 hours, I believe. Okay. And it's there were yes, we closed at 8 o'clock, but I went a period of time without having a co-manager and went several days, and if I'm not mistaken, a few months with just Sunday off. One day a week off. And then even back then, that was when the DMs would have you come in on Sundays and work. There were times that I didn't have a day off, and yeah, I was cranky, and people don't understand what that does to you because you have no time. You come home, you're exhausted, you're pissed off, and your family who loves you, okay, for whatever flaws you have or who you are, they chose to be with you, they love you. It doesn't matter because you're just like this big ball of grr, get the fuck away from me. And that's unfair, and I'm glad I don't do that anymore. And yes, the job I have, I've said it numerous times. I do kind of have it made, but there's still things that will irritate you, and there's still things, and it really comes from like if I was brand new, the shit wouldn't bother me. But having been a store manager for 30 fucking years almost, there's shit you see that just grates your nerves, and man, it's hard. It really is because I shouldn't let it get to me. I really shouldn't. It shouldn't bother me. And I've had people tell me, "Hey, at least you care." All right, I get that, but I shouldn't. That's what this business does to you. It makes you care more than you should. There's shit that goes on around me that I should not give a fuck about, but it affects me. And that's part of what we've all been through, and that's what we're going to hear about when this episode happens. So I want to go through the chat real quick because we got a bunch of shit going on here. Let's see. Let's go back to Mad Dog. My boss told me last I seem more frustrated, and I am. Understand. Blame Tank says, I've been better with my telling myself nothing that happens here matters pep talk. But yeah, I also have those moments I can't believe I don't just walk out. Correct. So we went over Mel's statement about the 6 doubles a week. And Blame Tag said that's fucking insanity, which it is. Um, and Mel responded with, "Yeah, it is, but his company prides themselves on great work-life balance. That's not work-life balance. That's work and no balance." Mad Dog says, "I haven't responded to anything for the last 7 days. Won't be doing anything work related until 8 a.m. tomorrow." So I'm assuming you're on vacation. If that's the case, props to you. That's the way to be. Blame Tag says, "LOL. I get that quote unquote work life balance bullshit too." Hero says, "We were both guilty giving them 200% though." That's true. That's something that I haven't really talked about. Hero worked for Jesus's Craft Store too, and she did a lot. You know, those were the formative years of mine and hers relationship. You know, I brought her down to where I was at. I needed a floral department manager. She came in, superstar, great at what she does. My district manager was like, "She's awesome," and all of a sudden she gets yanked, and she's doing store sets. Um, that is something one day that we need to have an episode about all the shit that Hero had to do working for Jesus's Craft Store, running from. To give you guys an idea, all right. So, how many of you in the chat are familiar with new store openings that you've been part of? Like from the day the doors opened for the team to go in, you just see a blank floor. How many of you are familiar with that? And the reason I say that is because the way things were operating back then, our district manager would have Hero go to almost every store in the district to pick through their overstock to fill spaces in this brand new store. That's correct, right, Hero? If I'm not mistaken, because I remember you running around in the Jeep with totes everywhere. But if somebody had a whole bunch of overstock of something across town, Hero would have to go get it and bring it in. And this was on top of the trucks that were coming. Oh, Hero says, "I wasn't hired to be her biographer." I'm just saying. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the stuff that's been going on. Blame Tag says, "I've luckily never been part of a new opening." Don't do it. If they open one across town, hey Matt, Blame Tag, Matt Starr, you want to come? Say fucking no. Don't do it. Don't get caught up in the store set bullshit. You'll never escape. Now, Irish, I know you know your job's a little different. Have you ever been part of something like that?
Oh God, yeah. Most recently in February, I've done about, the last 10 years. I've probably done about 40. Yeah, it's a big part of what I do.
Now, but you're in thrift, so
Yeah.
how? Let's say you guys are opening up a location, right?
Hmm.
And how long does it take you from the day you guys go in to start working to the day you open?
About 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hero, it was what? It wasn't 6 weeks. It was like a week, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken, the moment that the fixtures were in the building, they expected to have that thing open in a week, right? It's been a long time. Maybe 2 weeks.
Well,
Help me.
once the fixtures and all the kind of electronics, once that stuff's in, you are looking at a shorter. Well, you're talking about 2 weeks. But from getting the keys to opening the door, it's about 6 weeks.
Wow. Okay, so Mad Dog, when we worked for at home, oh, that's right, it was 6 days, 6 day turnaround from going in. All right, Hero was 1 month from fixtures till we went back home. So Jesus Craft Store was 1 month back then. At home was 6 days, and those stores for at home are huge. 6 days is a lot of fucking work. A lot. People drowning. GT Geek says, "I was in charge of changing a store around and updating a sales floor at T-Mobile. It was annoying." Yeah. Any kind of flip over, change over, as somebody used to say, is a pain in the ass.
Which is worse for you? Would it be opening a new store or would it be stock taking?
In what regard?
Which is a bigger pain in the ass?
Um, when you say stock taking, are we talking about the same situation? Like, so we got a brand new store, you got somebody taking in the stock, and then somebody stocking it. Is that what you're saying?
Ah, no, maybe it's different terminology. I'm talking about inventory. Sorry, we call it stock taking over here.
Oh, so which is depends on the location, and most times
Yeah.
inventory's worse because opening a new store. And in most cases, you're just getting what will fill the shelf.
Mm.
Inventory, especially in a poorly ran store, and we ran into this a lot at Jesus' Craft Store. I had to go, and Hero had to go too. There were numerous times I get a phone call saying, "Hey, I need you at this store like an hour away tomorrow to help clean it up." And
The-
those are the worst. The cleanup runs are the worst.
yeah.
And typically the cleanup runs happen because inventory's coming.
Yeah.
So there's times where you have to go clean up the store and you think you're done, and then your boss is like, "Nope, I need you there to help wrangle in the inventory." And it turns into this big fucking fiasco. And they're like, "Oh, but you get hotel and per diem and blah blah." No, it's a fucking nightmare is what it
Well,
is.
I always found I was stuck doing inventory for a couple of years where, like, 3, 4 times a year, they'd send me to another fucking store to do it. But inventory is worse for me because there's nothing to look forward to. When you're opening a store, at least you can look forward to, that kind of celebratory moment when you open the doors and you're like, it's done, and you can, well, watch the people shop. Inventory, all you got to look forward to is a bunch of fucking pissed off people wondering where the fuck everything went.
Well, here's
You
the
know,
thing. To your point about enjoyment, because the door opened, I can guarantee you, there's not a damn soul in this chat who's ever opened a new store who was like, "Hooray, we got done." You were so pissed off by the time the doors opened, you didn't care if the fucking thing burnt to the ground because you have
there,
people fighting about getting shit done. It's to give you an idea. All right, so Mad Dog just put, as far as at home goes, you go in and you set the profiles for all the shelves and everything. You bring in 200 temporary employees, 2,000 pallets of merchandise,
Jesus
only
Christ.
2 shifts. You have to open and detrash all the merchandise, build displays, and be open ready for customers in 6 days.
I I remember the worst one I had was in 2010, I think. I was on the east side of Ireland, the other side of the country, near Dublin. We were
Right.
opening this store, and they had bought it, 6 months prior, and they spent millions on the fucking thing. But the last thing that they had to do, which was delayed, was the signage. It was almost, it was delaying things. It was so behind. So I was there the night I was waiting for these guys to show up with the sign. So
Right.
they come up and you have to plug this fucking thing in. It lights up. So they're getting everything done and they drill through the wall and they hit a fucking wire and it just takes out the entire power of like a
Oh God.
25,000 square foot just store. Now, how the guy wasn't killed, I don't know. Whatever safety precautions are there, but I had to make that phone call like at 11 p.m. going, yeah, there's not going to be a store tomorrow,
Right.
because we have to get like you can't just get any electrician in to do that like that. You need a company to come in because there's a main wire after being, oh Jesus, it delayed it by another week. I'm pretty sure someone was shot over that. Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But
that's just nonsense. I mean, absolute nonsense. But what I want to
yeah.
do real quick is I kind of want to swerve a little bit. Blame Tag, you still with us? Koi, welcome. Um, so I posted my nice little graphic today of Axel and Slash with the X logo over it, talking about where do we go now. I asked Irish before the stream if he understood what it was, and when I told him, he's like, he got it. It was a video still from Sweet Child of Mine. At the end of Sweet Child of Mine, the lyrics go, "Where do we go? Where do we go now?" Um, so I kind of want to throw to everybody that's here, that's part of the community. Where do we go from this? All right. So Twitter has completely imploded. Absolutely imploded. I'm on it very little these days. I'm on it only to check up on you guys, see how y'all doing. Blame Tag, Cranky, Mel. Also, Blame Tag, real quick, where the fuck did Ranty go? Hadn't seen him in a while. And Sean William Brown, I see he's floating around. It's good to see he's back. Berserk is gone, so we don't know what happened to him. And, you know, I've looked at it. There's been all sorts of things come up as an alternative to Twitter, right? And I really hate social media at this point in time because it doesn't have anything that interests me because it's all political. And what I want to do is I want to show you why I'm sick of social media. So Spoutable came out, right? And Spoutable was going to be the replacement for Twitter. The format's a lot the same, etc. So, as you all know, we don't discuss politics and we don't discuss religion here, and that's perfectly fine by me, and I think that is the proper way to go. So I joined Spotify, and yes, fuck social media, Mel, and here's why. And when I post this isn't a political conversation. I just want to show you why all this bullshit is nonsense. All right. So I signed up for Spoutable, and I haven't been on it in, we'll get into the alien thing in a minute. Stop. You're pressing buttons. Hero, tell her stop. Anyway, so I get this email, right? And I'm like, from Spoutable. And this is it. Happening now on Spoutable, former President Donald Trump indicted. Former President Trump, blah, 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 blah. 4-count, 45-page, blah, blah, blah. For further insights and discussions on this topic, you can join the conversation on Spoutable. Fuck that shit. I am sick of politics. I don't give a fuck what side of the aisle you're on. Once again, I will tell you, it's two heads of the same fucking snake. And this is the problem with fucking social media. It's all fucking politicized. The algorithms play to the divisiveness. And I'm done with it. I'm absolutely fucking done with it. I mean, I signed up for a platform to just try and see if it's an alternative. And they send emails like that. That's not even in the realm of my interest. It's not even what we do. It's not nothing. I didn't get a fucking email saying, hey, the Teamster said, fuck you, UPS, and it made shit better. No, you don't get that. You get political discourse. And I don't want any part of that. I think it's nonsense, and I think it's a waste of fucking social media, because what social media has become is toxic, and it's a place for people to argue about shit that most people don't even know the fuck what they're arguing about at all, period. And we're over here trying to talk about how retail sucks, customer service jobs suck, we need more money, shit needs to get better, etc. But no, you got a brand new platform emailing me. There was no survey asking what my political affiliation was. Honestly, I don't have one. But anyway, there was nothing in anything I did to sign up for them to say, I want to see this. And this is the email they send you. Hey, you're on Spoutable. Here's what's happened. Come talk about it. And it's political. Fuck that shit. That's bullshit. Done with it. Done with fucking Twitter. Twitter's the same fucking way. We have to find a way, and we've talked about Reddit before, to narrow. It's kind of like, rat experiments where they make rats run through the maze and whatnot. We need to find a way to direct people that are into what we're talking about to commune in one place. And with that, I have thought about the fact that, I did try to do a Warzone website, whatever. I think we need to go back to forums, bulletin boards, something that's invitation. You can sign up. You follow the same rules as we have here on the podcast. And it's a free for all. You guys can talk about all this shit all you want, as long as it doesn't violate the rules. And if that's something you're interested in, I'm more than willing to do that. But, I saw, Mel, you posted on Twitter, basically fuck social media. That's where we're at right now. And I hate it. Absolutely fucking hate it. So, do you guys have any suggestions where to go? That was the whole point of the picture. Where do we go now? I don't give a fuck about indictments. I don't give a fuck about Biden. I don't give a fuck about Trump. None of that shit concerns me because it'll all figure itself out in the end. I'm more concerned with, let's talk about the things that are important to us in real time, that affect us in real time. And those two motherfuckers going back and forth, don't. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Because every politician makes promises to get elected and they never back them up. So just fuck that nonsense. So what do we do? Irish, any insight there?
We've tried a few different things. I think anywhere where the public can comment, retweet, gather in a space without any controls, we're fucked. Which means pretty much the whole social media thing. Because we had no control. We have no control over things like Twitter, and other aspects. Because whatever community that, if you want control, we're going to have to make a kind of private invitation only, as you said, that kind of thing.
Right.
Like, unfortunately, in things like Twitter, apart from the fact it was just mostly an echo chamber of bullshit, it's also, it's I don't know if it's the right platform, because the whole purpose of something like Twitter is just to go viral, and I think we're more we more substance than that. Like, okay, some of the shit that we say is funny and like should go viral, but we're actually here for discussion, and like
Right.
what social media platform is about discussion? I don't think there's any left.
No. And that's my point, is like Irish and I were talking. I'm going to give you guys some statistics, all right? And none of this is like tooting horn, because these are low numbers, by far. But we were talking about the podcast earlier, and I was pulling up just the stats from Warzone. And honestly, on Spotify and whatnot, whatever shows up is what I post. So, there's been therapy episodes, there's been whatnot. But, as of right now, today, we've got 12,564 plays on the podcast on the audio side. Roughly 51 plays per episode. But the most important thing is our top 10 episodes. So I want you guys to think, if you guys have been here around, what is been the most popular. The Justice for Evan is number one. That's 175 plays. The Unquittable Job, the manager in your head, is number two. When we had the HR manager, it's number three. The Cult of the Forbidden Fruit, when we had H from Australia on, is the next one. Mad Dog, your episode about Bargain Stunt, 166 plays. That's next up. Matt Mitchell from It's a Southern Thing, which is a personal thing for me. It doesn't involve retail. It's just somebody I really, really like and appreciate what he does. He was the next one at 162. The Traits of a Toxic Boss, 161. The Lost Art of Staying in Your Lane, 156. Pet Peeves and Things That Annoy You in the Retail Business, 155. The Customer is Not Always Right, which I believe was with Randy Bastard, was 153. So there's an audience out there for the stuff we talk about. But getting the message out's hard when you're falling through the cracks, as Irish said before, the stream, and getting it out there. So what do we do? Where do we go? Because I've met some great people here. Big Quit Energy, he goes, I guess BQE was a brand new account and I was just careful with it. I should clarify that. My old personal account is a dumpster fire. LOL. Okay. Mad Dog says LOL. Blaine Tech says this, all I've been doing, Big Quit, and it hasn't helped. Big Quit says, in case no clear alternative shows up. My Twitter feed is a lot more tolerable since I did that. And, Big Quit also said, the way this thread went was one way to make Twitter work is to invest some time in cleaning up who you follow and spend a few days disabling or blocking tweets served up to you that you don't like. Okay, I get that. But guess what? We shouldn't have to deal with them at all. There's hold on just a second, Irish.
Yep.
There's no retail specific place to go. And having said that, Irish, go ahead and say what you're going to say.
Yeah, but they're pretty much the same as what you just said there. Like the problem is that you can get fucking hijacked. Let's just say, for argument's sake, one of the episodes that you spoke about there, Justice for Evan, for example, if that happened to go viral, right, we would be inundated with political bullshit.
Right.
That's the problem. Is that, like, you'll get brigaded and people will come on and they'll blame the left, the right, the mid, whatever the fuck. That's the problem. I don't know if there's a way of controlling that. Probably not. Not without a lot of maintenance and effort. And then in a way, you're it's kind of counterproductive because you're limiting then people that may want to contribute. I don't know. It's a really, really difficult one. Maybe really, really simple message board stuff is more suitable.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. Because, guys, look, I know I've been absent for a while, and I needed to take a much-needed break. I just got burnt out. I got burnt out with all the negativity on social media. I got burnt out with the fact that we put so much work into this that it hasn't picked up. I mean, it was time to kind of relax for a while. I've spent my time playing guitar, and actually, to be perfectly honest with you, I've spent my time playing way more Zelda Tears of the Kingdom than any human should probably play. I'm 235 hours into it. I'm really mad because I beat the game, and after I did all this other stuff, I'm only at 59% completion, so that pissed me off. But anyway, I needed the break, and a large part of the break came from having roadblocks everywhere we went. Yes, we have journalists reach out to us. And it's become a point where the journalists reach out to us for our contacts. They want us to send them people. It's not like we have like a major publication out there saying, hey, we want to spotlight the retail war zone and what it's doing for the working class. That's not happening. They want to hear from the people I know that are in the industry, and that's fine. I get that. I'm not mad about it. That's fine. We've had some press and whatnot. Unfortunately, it's always been insider, but we'll take whatever we can get. But it's just kind of sad at this point because the things we talk about are important, and it just gets buried. I mean, completely buried, and nobody sees it. And we do a long form thing, which is an issue in itself. And I don't have the time to sit down and cut snippets. I mean, I've done that in the past for TikTok and whatnot. There's no reward to it. And when I say reward, I don't mean monetarily. I mean, there's no community growth doing that. And it's like, what do we need to do? Because Irish said before we went live, we've covered some seriously important things in this industry that people should key on that no one's heard. And I just don't know. I don't know where we go from this point. And, any suggestions are welcome. Blame Tank says, I'm waiting for Insider to cease and desist me. Probably, yeah. Blame Tank says, I've also been slacking too hard on Zelda. Look, okay, this is off topic. I just want to put that here. Blame Tag, just to let you know, I found every well. I completed every single side mission, which is 139. I've completed all the main story, all the main missions, all the shrines, all the light routes, every single piece of armor. And when I finally decided the other night to go fight Ganon, when I got done, my completion percentage is 59%. Kind of mad about that. But anyway, that's what that is. That's a different story for a different time. But there you go, Blame Tag, just to let you know. L's Life said open a new Kohl's once and no one knew how to do a return. See, that's the kind of thing too that we deal with. You open a store and you have people and they're not trained. But anyway, going back to the social media thing, I don't know. I mean, what do you guys want to do? I've met some great people through Twitter. I really have. I've met some great people through Reddit, Irish being one of them. But where do we go from here? I mean, do you guys want to do a message board, or do we just want to float around and find something new to latch onto? I mean, Twitter was like a big thing, and we're all just kind of hanging out there waiting for it to disintegrate. But Irish, you got off of Twitter how long ago?
A couple of months.
And why did you do that?
It was just a shit show. I couldn't. My feed was just full of bullshit, and I
Exactly.
only followed like 30 people, and it's I don't know. I just get annoyed at, like, the suggestions. Even, oh, someone you follow likes something I don't care. It's I don't care what donuts someone likes. I don't know. All of that shit where it's trying to drive more traffic just annoys me. I'm a much more simple person. I just you know I don't
Right.
know. But what I'll just say is, I forget how long this is going on now, but why I started um, listening and then contributing is slightly different from why I stayed. So if you remember way back, the
Mm-hmm.
first episode that I was on, I finished the episode by saying, like, like, well done. It's a great start. I really hope you guys, light a fire, or some words to that effect, or something. That's why I started. I started thinking, like, because I was depressed. I was losing my fucking mind, and I was like, we need better. We deserve better. And I still believe that. I still believe that, you know, someone needs to represent, retail workers and workers of a kind of ordinary jobs, for want of a better word, more generally, better. But why I stayed, I think, is a lot of the reasons why people here in the chat. It's fun. It's a small little community, and there's great camaraderie here. There's a lot of humor and funny stories. So, like, there's kind of two sides to it. I don't know if it's worth breaking into two, where you have a kind of a more, almost like a Tales from Retail YouTube channel, and then a more serious side to that where people can tune in. I don't know if that's one way of getting traffic to it, but maybe the reality is, maybe, well, for me, we're just fucking too old for this shit. I don't mind long form things. I have an attention span, but that's not the way social media and YouTube is set up.
Right.
It's Everything is just snippets and sound bites, and, like, TikTok is the greatest example of the deterioration of attention span. In my opinion, it's just,
Well,
I don't know.
you bring up a good point, and maybe we bring in a third party, somebody from the community, um, who helps us and sets up, obviously, like a retail war zone thing. We're all in it together. Who really takes the reins in doing the clips and the things that they think will bring people in. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I've been doing this, from a tech standpoint solo the entire time. Obviously, I have Irish, okay? But that's it. I do all this on my own. Maybe we need somebody from the community to join us and be like, say we do tonight, and we post it, and they have access, and they can say, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this and this and this, and I'm going to put it on, whatever. Maybe we need a third party involved that can kind of snipe in the things they think will hit to bring people here. Maybe that's what we need to do. Now, if there's any of you out there who are interested in that, DM me on X/Twitter/circling the bowl before it dies, and we could talk about it. Maybe we have somebody in the group who watches these things in full and thinks that, hey, well, this little 30-second segment is important. The rest of it isn't. How can we utilize people in the community to help push us forward? The thing about that is, none of us make any money doing this. So it's not, if anybody wants to participate, there's no money. This is all, a passion project, if you would say. I don't make any money on this. I mean, the last shirt I sold was like 6 months ago. You know, I don't make any money doing this. Irish doesn't make any money doing this. We do this out of goodwill, and it's just something we believe in. So if we have somebody that wants to come into the fold, don't expect to get paid. I mean, we talk about retail and wages and stuff like that. Look, this is a grassroots thing. I don't want any, and that's why I've done so much of it by myself, because I don't want, somebody to feel like, hey, I've done a lot of work, I deserve something. Your time matters, okay? So if we've got somebody who wants to contribute, look, I get it. Your time matters, but I work in a grocery store. I can't pay anybody, you know.
I don't think anyone's going to expect that. I mean, I'm well aware I am I'm the best co-host that the Warzone can afford. Let's put it that way, But like,
Right, right.
it's I don't think anyone that would have an interest in this would expect money at least. Look, I don't think so. Look, I've seen I've seen some channels that are mildly similar in the past. Now, mind you, I haven't watched them in probably over a year. Um, Fantavision was one of them. Like that started off by just giving off about,
Okay,
you
hold up.
know,
I know you mentioned Fantasy. So let me give you some insight into those guys right now,
mm,
because you know who he's connected with, right?
that idiot that we did a thing
Right.
on
All
once.
right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what they've done is they've pivoted away from the retail thing, and
yeah.
Scamalot does some shit with
That's the one.
retail. Last time I checked, same thing. He scopes out news articles and does his, hot dang it, we got, whatever. Okay, but it's a more entertainment thing. He
Mm.
tries to push the fact that he's pushing like he really cares, but it's all about money. Because he's got a brand new house and blah blah blah. He's a YouTube content creator, and he's trying to make money doing it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have a job. Everybody in my family has a job except one. We pay our bills and whatnot. I don't. This isn't like a life force for me. So that's the difference between. And Fanta did the same thing. Fanta broke off and started doing other things. And I'm
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not going to break off and do other things because I don't fucking care. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what I liked about the early, and I never watched Scamelot. I found he's just obnoxious, to be honest. But Fantavision, what I liked about him, the start Fantavision, was it was authentic. It was real.
It
He was
was.
just he was complaining about his day, and usually he had a friend there, and they were just, and he actually has some very insightful things to say. In fairness, for a young guy.
Yeah.
Um, but what I think our target audience is likely to be is disgruntled and ex retail managers.
Correct.
Um, I don't think we'll get a lot of traction in the youth because they probably don't care that much. They haven't invested enough time in it to care. They haven't had the years go by where they're pissing off family members and this. So I think now it's a very niche market. I appreciate that, but yeah, we have covered some very. We're gonna at some point we're gonna have to revisit the things that you covered in the early days because you've got some really good topics at the start. Um,
Which
and
I think is coming soon.
probably yeah. I mean, it's we're always going to be very niche. I don't know um if it's going to develop into snowball, or I don't even know if we're even fucking qualified to do it. If it ever developed into a thing where we gain traction and start, people start paying attention, I don't know where I might have to tap out,
Well,
But
here's the thing. To be honest with you, if I was setting a goal, look, you got people out here wanting, 500,000 subs and whatnot. Look, my goal, honestly, if we get 1,000 people, maybe 1,500 subscribed, I'm good with that. Because chances are that 1,000 to 1,500 have been in the trenches. And I like what you just said about managers. So I think you have a tangent that you're going on. So continue.
oh, not really, to be honest with you. It's just I do think that the that is our most likely the people that are most likely to be interested in this type of stuff, like long form stuff, will be people with the experience that they've lived it, and they've had the they've had the issues that come along with it, like such as the sleepless nights and the angry spouse and everything else. And we'll be missing a lot of people. The general public that haven't worked retail obviously will only be interested in any sort of like funny, snippets that you can clip. Um, but there's definitely a body of work there that is going to be interesting for the future. We're not going to be right on everything. I think
No.
that there's a lot of integrity from the stuff that you've covered so far, and it's genuine. It's coming from people who actually work. Like you're not an armchair general. You have worked, and I don't claim to be anything special. I've worked in big box, small box, various different levels of management,
Right?
but like I'm not claiming to be the best one, the worst one, and I have been every type of manager that we've discussed here. I've been an asshole. I've been all about
Same.
the team, and I've been everything, and just that is interesting to me, um, because I have lived it. It's not going to be for everyone. Maybe we're always going to be very niche and very small, and we're probably doing some really basic shit wrong. Like probably long form on YouTube is just never going to work. The
You're
algorithm is
you're
just going to
right.
crush you. You know.
You're right. And I think for that point, I mean, look, I mean, I've kind of backed off the past few months and whatnot. I do think the way this thing should work is like you and I collaborate on like a 15-minute video and we put that out. And then like once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks we have a live stream. Because then you have the small snippet that people can digest and then you have the interaction on live stream.
Mm.
And I think that might be the way, but I also think something you keyed on that is worth investigating, especially where you moderate. Maybe we need to go recruit managers and let them talk, because a lot of what we've done and a lot of what we discuss circulates around people in that position of power. And maybe we find a way to cultivate or draw in store managers anonymously to talk about their experiences. Because when I first started this whole thing, the point I was trying to make was, look, you're a store manager, you're tasked to do a lot of things. And you're tasked to do a lot of things that harm your employees. And it would be really nice if we could find, even if it was pre recorded video, a string of store managers, like long term, who can talk about how the commands from upon high cause, problems with their stores and their staffs and whatnot. Because the one point that you made that is true, the people that are going to watch the long term videos are the ones that are long term managers. That's 100% correct. The hourly associate who feels like the job is shit and it's unfair isn't going to watch an hour long video listening to people talk. So maybe we kind of pull back and talk and figure out how we can service both the groups. Does that make sense to you, Irish?
I think we're closer to the answer with that train of thought. Yes, I honestly don't know. Like, it all depends. I mean, it's your channel, so you have your own kind of personal goals. Like, everyone else is here because they obviously like it for some reason or another. I think that's important. You've got your core group now. You've had them for a while. You know who to trust. Um, and by the way, for everyone in the chat, feel free to come on anytime. Like, I can tap out at a moment's notice. If you want to come on and talk about your time in management, whatever else, I suppose it's probably not healthy to always be hearing from me. Yes, you have the international kind of thing to bounce. This is obviously predominantly American audience. If you like, it might be interesting to bounce off, someone from overseas, but at the same time, you know, it might not always be appropriate, and like maybe focusing on the management. One like it didn't take you long to get into that, Steve, because I think one of your first episodes that I watched was Minimum Wage. That was one of your early ones, like two or
Yes.
three. And then like two episodes later, I was on the fucking show.
Yep.
So like I mean, and that was the one about what keeps you up at night, the management stuff, and it was because of the topics that you were discussing in the hour-long episodes that I was watching that caught my attention. But unfortunately, well, first of all, at the time I was redundant because my store closed down because of the pandemic, so I had time. But most people just won't get there, and that's fine. I mean, let's be honest. If someone showed me an hour-long video of a channel I never seen before, the chance of me getting more than a minute
Right.
in is probably slim.
Yep.
I get it. So I don't know. Maybe if you got, let's say, what are we by Christmas time, if you got 10 managers, not on the show, but just even in the chat, I don't know. It might just give some more insight. Because if you do go for the low hanging fruit, the viral stuff, you're going to get one or two things. The TikTok nonsense where everything is just noise and trying to go viral with a clip, or you're just going to get the people that you actively discourage in the chat, which are the ones that want to talk about politics or religion.
Right. Well, the point is, I never want to go for low hanging fruit because that's easy, and that's what makes it different. Now, Hero just posted in the chat. I may be alone in this, but I've always felt the people telling their own stories with the chat supporting and interacting with them are the best of the war zone. The stories
Mm.
are interesting and the chat is endearing. I agree with that. And a hero, I'm assuming that you mean like when we have somebody on the show and they're talking about their stories. And that's something we need to get back into. And real quick, it just throws out there. I'm going to have Adam Cott back on with his second book here shortly. He messaged me
Oh,
earlier.
good.
I have not read the second book yet. I told him I just haven't had time. So that's coming here shortly. So we'll have him on that. The book, I believe, is called The Patron Saints of Grocery. So that will be cool. So that's coming. But, likewise, I haven't reached out to anybody to be on the show in a long time. I really haven't. I'm not sure. I think maybe, and I could be wrong, I think Shauna Potter was the last person we had on that isn't in the community, I think. Um, and but we're coming into a time where we need to start looking at other people. I think we need to bring Erica for Justice for Evan back on to talk about a lot of things, and even the Justice for Evan folks, Jana as well, to kind of get an update on what's going on there. So I foresee there being another Justice for Evan episode in the near future. But I do like the idea of getting store managers in here, and I don't know how to go about that. Irish, you may need to snipe some people where you're at because you
Mm.
will have far
Mm.
more visibility of those people than I will. If you get people, if you can vet
Well,
and find out
if
where they're at, we can do that.
if I could just give you some insight there, that this is just I could talk to you about this offline as well. But look, essentially, I joined that community on Reddit when it was 10,000 subs. It's approaching 90,000 now, and the content has gotten significantly worse. And I'm not talking about politicized stuff now. It's just all it is just people with the same seven fucking topics over and over again, regurgitating just petty complaints. But like it used to be a bit more insightful, where people were had a bit more discussion. That's what I worry about as well. Sometimes I don't know, you might lose when there's too much noise in the chat or something. Oh, by the way, Blame Tag, I see the comments. There's nothing directed towards you. I hope you do go viral. I just don't think it's the most appropriate thing strategy for this particular channel. But the serving times is a different story. I'd love to see that go viral, but I don't know. Yes, I will try and snipe. I definitely have more visibility, but I wouldn't be holding your breath either.
Right. It's hard. It really is hard. because that's the thing about Reddit is people get to type whatever they want to type, get the shit out of their system and move on. It's really hard getting people to commit to something other than that, correct?
Yeah, I mean, and like I think we were better at this once upon a time. I remember we had a good few people on the show. Like you had a guy from Australia on one time. Um, uh, I think he was worked in an Apple store or some of that. Yeah, we probably should be a bit more targeted with getting more stories from managers. We probably all know a couple of managers that aren't aware of this and maybe need to uh, do what I do, just be anonymous more or less. Like, there's no camera if they want that. Um, I don't know. It's that might, it would be nice to hear some other stories as well, just to freshen things up, I suppose. Um,
Blame
yeah.
tag, just to let you know, I just texted Erica to see. I'm sure they would. And if so, that would be something that would happen quick. I hear from her a lot, so she's great. I mean, she is really, really into it. Hello, Pluto. Where do you come from, Pluto? Please tell us. We've had some interesting people in here tonight. I'd like to know where you come from. New people that we haven't seen. But so it's been great tonight, guys. You know, we're going to keep. I really feel like the therapy sessions are going to continue in more frequency versus Warzone. I really see Warzone being once a month, to be perfectly honest with you. But the thing with Warzone being once a month is Irish, myself, and whoever else is involved, we can have something that is impactful. You know, instead of doing a retail Warzone every week, we can have one a month that is, like boom, punch you in your nose. And the retail therapy sessions will continue. I mean, I've always said that. I think the therapy sessions are cool because we have random things and stuff like that. It's great. But I do want to make sure that everybody really, really hones in on the 23rd. The 23rd of August with the spouse episode is going to be the rejuvenation re-kickoff of the retail war zone. I will decide at that point whether or not it's once a month or twice a month. So the activity that we have around that, the interaction we have around that is going to determine whether we have one or two a month. If we don't have one or two a month, we will have random therapy sessions to fill the gaps. In Irish, I know there's going to be some nights you can't. I'll send you an email when we're having a therapy session. If you're like, no, man, I'm wasted, I can't do it, that's okay. I mean, if you're tired, no pressure, go to sleep. It's okay. But I appreciate your dedication to all this. I consider you a great friend. I think we're both on the same page. And look, we're still in our infancy. We're on like year 3, right? There's a long way to go. But I've been absent for a while, needed to take a break, and we're about to kick it back up. There's not going to be like big graphic differences or anything like that. It's going to look the same. But social media is so toxic. I'm done. So
Yeah, I would kind of concur with that, Steve. I don't know if social media is going to help except give you more headaches.
yeah. Now Blame Tag just proposed something, and I think this is good because I have no problem riding on the coattails of the serving times because it's great satire. Blame Tag said, let's do a feature in the serving times about the spouse episode like a week before. Mel said, do that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's coordinate. Let me know, Blame Tag, what you want to do. Pluto says, what do you think of all the strikes going on? Seems there are a dime a dozen nowadays. Yes, they are, but we need them. Look, as far as do strikes work, I will refer you to the Teamsters and UPS. UPS hasn't had air conditioning in those vans ever. They're going to now, thanks to the Teamsters. Pluto
Yeah,
says, for
I mean,
fucking sure we could use more of them. Pardon my French, haha. Yes, we need all the strikes we can to support the working folk. And we're at that point where we're seeing an inflection point with labor and unions. And it needs to continue. It really does. Because the cost of living is way too high. AI is coming around the corner. Um, we need to get things in line now to make sure humanity can survive on the wages that they're getting before everything's replaced by a computer. And I want to touch on a minute real quick before we go about a conversation I had with somebody, and I'm going to revisit this conversation to see if they'd like to participate. We were talking about the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild striking, and about the advent of AI. And the person I was discussing this with has interest in being an actor and understood the importance of AI, and that if we as a society becomes dependent on AI, then we need UBI, which is a universal basic income. Because if machines are going to replace our jobs, we need money to survive, or shit needs to be free. And I'm actually going to talk to him tomorrow or the next time I see him and see if we can set something up to have him on the show, because I think he has some very good insight. And I think that will be a great episode, but I will let you guys know. But think about that for a minute. If AI is going to take over a bunch of jobs, the people that had those jobs, how are they going to survive? Yeah, we're getting to that point where technology is going to force governments to pay people to sit at home. And there's a lot of people who look at that and say, "Oh, that's laziness." No, if you don't have the jobs to do, you need money to survive, right? So either give us money or make shit free, right? Right, Irish?
I absolutely agree. I think that's the way to go.
Yep. So having said that, everybody, thank you for being here this evening. It's been cool. August 23rd, spouse episode is important. Will we have a therapy session between now and then? Probably. I'll let you know. But having said that, everybody have a great night, and we